Canonization, the Memetic Beautification of San Luigi Mangione. So let me share. I need to share my screen.
The permissions are ready.
Okay, it should be here. I think I have all of you here. Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you. In the last decade or so, humor studies, as well as security and military studies, has taken up the mantle of the study of meme and its effects on culture and society. While there are many ways we can study the meme, one thing that's proven significant again, memes are changing public and by extension, private discourse, and the conversations generated in and around it. They have crept into almost every facet in our communication, and with the creation of the Department of Government Efficiency, aka DOGE, they have now taken over the US administrative state. And when you have a young adult in control of some of the US's most sensitive information and governing structures, who has the online handle of Mr. Big Balls, or one of the often referenced online political commentators going by the name Cat Turd, well, it goes without saying that humor is central to it all. So my presentation today is essentially part 3 of this we can call memetic inquiry on the decentralization bottom-up memetic warfare in our current metaphorical uncivil war. It started off with my presentation, a subsequent article on the let's all go fuck Brandon meme, Joe Brandon, which then gave way to another work on the jug of justice. And culminated with what I speak about today. So after these inquiries, I think my thinking began to evolve on the meme and meme theory in general, to which leads us to a couple things, some operational definitions. Memes undergo several distinct phases, which for our purposes here can be categorized as follows. And from Jan's stuff earlier, I'm assuming everyone kind of understands already, so I'm not going to go through a lot of the precursor stuff. But anyway, the memes go through distinct phases, which we refer to as inception. This is the creation of the initial appearance of the meme. Diffusion, the widespread sharing and transmission of a meme across various platforms and populations. Modification, alterations, and variations are made to the meme, enhancing its appeal or adapting it to different contexts. Declination is a decrease in the meme's popularity and frequency of use. And dormancy, what I call, the meme remains latent within the memeosphere, the sum totality of all memes, ready to be reinvented, revived, or repurposed. So while there's much diversity in how the meme cycle is articulated in memetic terminology, I've defined them as such based on the meme cycle model applied to the memes and memeosis of the Godfather text. That's 2024, and you can find that online. So again, the study of memes and memeosis, transformation and adaptation, as Zitardo would say, from 2020 and 2024, meme cycles are very similar to joke cycles, except for the speed of diffusion, a shorter lifespan, and an increased ease of manipulation of images and text. So memes provide a snapshot of a cultural climate or zeitgeist and articulate not only what topics are trending, but also the way people discuss and perceive them. By using humor, satire, and relatable imagery, memes manifest not only what issues are on people's minds, but also how they interpret, discuss, and, according to Zapavinia, align with others on these issues. So our objective for today is we're going to look at a couple things with the Luigi Mangione memes. But before, I'd like to introduce a couple things. From my thinking, I'm beginning to see, and Ian kindly spoke about the idea of imposter syndrome. So I'm going to just drill down and double down on an imposter and talk some physics. So let's just call them, I've come up with some laws of memeiodynamics from what I've been seeing. And I would guess we could propose that the first law would be, once a meme is created, It never ceases to exist, though it may be converted into another form. The second law would be popular memes will descend into less popular memes. That is, hot memes will become uncool memes. And those of you from science, that's entropy. And Sal knows about that because we talked about that a bunch of years ago right here at the HRC. So again, the caveats are inception to memeosis is when it's created. And in the memeosphere, it will remain dormant until reactivated. And then we'll go through some examples. So it should be stated that a meme is a self-contained perpetual entity that also exists beyond its principal parts. If Homo sapiens are the universe's way of knowing itself, I believe as Carl Sagan said, then memes are Homo sapiens' way of telling us who we are. Memes are the socially constructed stories we tell ourselves about each other and the world we live in. For our purposes for purposes today. So in the wee hours of December 4th, 2024, the UnitedHealthcare CEO, Brian Thompson, was fatally shot outside the Hilton Hotel in Midtown Manhattan. Thompson was then pronounced dead at a nearby hospital, and this really shook up the American population. The gunman then fled on foot and later by bicycle, which was all seen on CCTV, and he entered Central Park, disappearing. This took over the domestic news cycle due to it being such a brazen killing in the capital of the country that's always suffers from the national trauma of 9/11. The alleged perpetrator would later be identified as a one Luigi Mangione of New Jersey, United States. Initial public reaction and media coverage before and after the naming of the perpetrator was intense. That's important. So as it became clearer that Mangione was a target of investigation, you started to see the memes coalesce around identity. So how'd the internet respond? Well, major meme templates were revived. As to the role of Black humor in processing the event, many people actually supported the killing. Bill Burr was famously on television saying, "I'm not surprised it happened." He caught a lot of flack for it. But people were really, it was the compression and expansion. So the compression on the people expanded, and now they were kind of relieved that something like this happened. Now, again, our condolences go out to the young man who was killed. And it was a tragedy, and we don't need to go into this, but we know how humor works. So many people actually supported the killing. Whether or not they tacitly supported or were using it for humor is debatable, and made jokes about it both online and also in person. This also fell into the Manichaean frame where notions of good and evil started to play out. Moreover, in some ways, political ideology could be gleaned from just looking at the sort of memes that were being shared. Interestingly, there was a thematic overlap with the perpetual frustrations many Americans have about the US healthcare system, as well as the alleged perpetrator's Italian Catholic identity. Once again, the issues of the US not having universal healthcare system reactivated many meme cycles that had been previously lying dormant. So again, the Mangione memeplex was absorbed and remixed into different formats. And there were many novel permutations, such as mashups with older, previously dormant meme templates vis-a-vis meme cycles. One that became very pronounced and was one of the focuses of this work is in the fusion, the use of Italian cultural symbols, that is the Sopranos memes, mafia trope, and hand gesture memes began to crop up and emerge from the memeosphere. Again, some totality of all memetic content. From this association, we can see how Italian ethnicity shaped some of the memetic characterization of Mangione. And in this fusion, we can see a blending of humor and previous cultural critiques. As you can see here, often some of these, the one is particularly interesting one is about its anti-Italian immigration. These come from the episode of Sopranos when they were focused on Columbus Day. And so again, we're seeing a repurposing of these teams. These memes will always come around. They lie dormant. They come out around Columbus Day. And now they're going to always have a Mangione element to it as kind of a Robin Hood, passatore figure in the culture. So we don't have time to go too deep into these, but I just want to show you some other ones. Again, ethnicity, we see gesticulation. The hand meme is always a fun one. And also Cuomo comes back, who was a meme in of himself. And he says, I'm not perverted, I'm just Italian, right? The hot temper, inappropriate meme. So again, these tropes come back up of how Italians and Italian Americans are considered in the United States. Moving forward on ethnicity, I particularly was interested in the amount of people posting and the comments now. So for me, it's not even the memes anymore. It's the comments people are making and how they're interacting with the material as well. It's just as good. So again, here we have the Swedish chef, but again, the trope with the mustache and the hat and the lupara is kind of the Italian thing. You mama de lastamia. Luigi, I hate paying the premiums you shoot. So this is the broken English aspect. Again, that old chestnut broken English. Oh, hold on a second. Issue. Okay. Again, and to the namesake of the actual presentation, there was this visual transformation as more information was discovered as it went on, the manhunt, and then as it was found, where we see Luigi Mangione go from accused criminal to a sort of modern-day digital folk hero. And due to the Italian ethnicity and presumed Catholicism of Mangione, because every Italian's Catholic, right? Religious motifs emerged in the meme's evolution, such as halos, and Mangione being integrated into other templates or paintings. The best was the meme in and of itself, the Mangione perp walk. I'd like to point out on the left one, all the way to the right, you know, even these are being used from journalists to frame articles that they're speaking about. So I think we really reach an interesting point with the perp walk. That was very interesting. And as you can see behind Mangione is the mayor of New York, who has just been essentially almost cleared with the condition that he help the current president and administration crack down on immigration. We don't need to talk about that and who the criminals are in this picture. But seeing this image really blasted out again and created another forms of permutation coming out of the public and the interaction with this meme, the Mangione meme, as such. So here we see Jesus with the Romans as well. So again, blatantly, this was, and a lot of people commented at the time that this perp walk was the kind of a very big faux pas and not exactly what they were trying to do. But again, the state needs to monopolize force, and this is exactly what the United States Justice Service was doing at the time to reassert force and domination of violence, monopoly of violence in the public. And so they needed a visual for it. But they did not expect that the people would make these parallels with Jesus and the Romans. This, I think, is a fantastic one and probably one of the, quite possibly the best. And I'm just the apotheosis of the Italian-American experience, a tragedy in 4 parts. So again, you have the Scipiatone, but it's not Scipiatone, but just the turn of the great migration of Italians into the United States. You have Luigi coming in here. You have presumably his mother who's denied healthcare payments or whatever. He commits a murder and then he's arrested. So again, a lot of humor here from both just a regular joke in and of itself, but also if we look at it from an Italian-American frame, it really kind of it really shows some of the most, it contains all of the tropes of Italian-Americans, the immigrant history, the relationship to the mother, mafia violence, and incarceration. Moving forward. Now, other permutation came out was what Mangione had written on the bullets: delay, deny, depose. So this becomes a healthcare system critique. The memes were also used to satirize and highlight the systemic failures of the U.S. healthcare system in delay, deny, depose. And I believe one woman was actually on a call and said these 3 words to a healthcare worker. And I believe either she was arrested or people were sent to her house to question her about this. Don't quote me on that, please. Check that out yourself. But there was something happened where, you know, it jumped the osmotic boundary from online discourse into the real world. And that's what happened there. So they criticized the corporate healthcare through humor. And once again, we see the memeosphere as a space for digital discourse regarded for political expression. Again, we have denied again, not giving, trying, what is this? Not giving up to trying again, but a third, more sinister option. Give up, try again, call Luigi again. We see this meme and the content ejecta from the original memetic event embedding itself into multiple online discourses through the use of meme. Another one here that still goes with the healthcare system. This is the darkly humorous reaction to the sick healthcare system. Aquila, the CEO. Last thing the CEO saw, Luigi Mangione, when he gets his hospital bill and realizes he can fix his problem with one easy step. This is another thing that's very, very dark and really kind of opened the lid on a dissatisfaction bubbling with the United States as being one of the only major industrialized country that does not have a universal healthcare system. And I honestly think that a lot of these memes and the people's reaction to them is because there's nothing that can be done. And we see the same thing happening when there is gun violence or mass shootings. There's a plethora of memes because the legislation is not getting passed and everything is a gridlock. So just prepare for the memes over the next 4 years, everyone. Corporate greed comes back. So yes, I do. And his name's Luigi. So I thought that was clever because we're always bombarded on our inboxes by things. So again, there's another dormant template from Christopher Nolan's Batman, the unchecked corporate greed and an Italian twink directly related to Luigi Mangione and his physical appearance. Again, political diversion, keeping your eyes off the ball. And so while this was going on around December, we had just come out of an election cycle that was very tense. And this basically kept everybody distracted, which is something that we won't talk about today for time's sake, but is ultra interesting to me. So to round up, the San Luigi Mangione meme cycle shows us once again the dynamic process memes go through. In this particular example, we once again have another clear demonstration of the intersection of ethnicity, satire, and humorous online discourse in the memetic space. The broader implications for meme research is that now many events can give us examples or more data to study going forward to test old and new theories in humor studies, linguistics, and semiotics. And lastly, are we seeing a new form of memetic solidarity emerging, or just a rehashing of memetic solidarity that was already there? I will, since we're a bit in deficit anyway, I will round up the presentation with that. I thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks again to HRC, Style, Shelby, Yao Ming.
Oh, I followed the Mangione meme onslaught a little bit. Would you care to comment on the sort of sub-branch where people were making up alibis for him? There was one that you had there where it said he was making soup, sauce. But there were like hundreds where they were like, oh, Luigi and I were hunting at that time, or I mean, it was just like everybody was making up a new.
Yeah, well, I would say I'd say I would look at it this way. It was so chaotic when it happened and nobody knew what was going on. And I think because it was chaotic and because of the conspiracy-laden world we live in now, that not only you're going to get obviously people making excuses, and I don't know if this is quite answering the question, but making excuses, because at the beginning it seemed like nobody was clear if this was the person, and it still seems like there's a bit of doubt. And we live in that world now where everything is in doubt. So I would say that these excuse memes subgroup probably fits into people defending him, people not believing it was him, and probably a lot of people who are just kind of attracted to the memes as well. A good mama's boy, why is he going to do something like this? I don't have a clear answer to give you on that. I'd have to think on it a little bit and look through them more. Again, I was looking at kind of the totality of them, maybe too expansive to answer that question, but I could drill down and give you, could chew on it a little bit and give you a better answer. But again, I think that the thing is still, again, with the dark humor and people really being happy about this and also being honest about the situation, which, as I said, Bill Burr, you know, I would say that, you know, to talk about making an excuse, not specifically the Mangione memes, but people, in a sense, coming to his defense, saying,
well, I'm not sure that it was a defense, because there were obviously false alibis, but everybody was coming up with alibis, right? So saying, well, he couldn't have done it because at the time we were making sauce in my basement, you know, or at the time we were, you know, fishing and in the lake and whatever, right? You know, I mean, some people even had the exact time, you know, they were saying between, I don't remember what time the shooting happened, but they were, you know, let's say that it was 7:15, they're saying between 7:10 and 7:25, we were, you know, discussing memetics in my office. You know, I mean, it was just like, you know, clearly false.
Were you talking about the time frame that happened exactly right after the event, or after they knew it was him?
No, they already knew it was. He'd already been identified.
Yeah,
I don't know that he'd already been caught, apprehended.
Okay, so it was in that period where people were. Yeah, it seemed like that was kind of a honeymoon of it, where people were still kind of like in doubt, and maybe something would change. I don't know. I mean, it really told us a lot about psyche, and specifically with the Italian American stuff. So making this excuse, I mean, just when you say making sauce in the basement, you know, the basciamento, Fred Gardafe talks about it all the time.
I'm using that example because that was in your presentation, but they were like, you know, fishing, hunting, you know, buying cars, shopping for shoes. I mean, it was, you know, the craziest excuses, but very specifically, it was an alibi. Okay, it was like I'm providing an alibi.
Now we're okay. Now I'm getting somewhere. Now okay. So again, in organized crime, of course, since that's another threat of another subgroup of memes coming, the alibi is, you know, with the Mumbles guy on Simpsons. Hey, you do this? No, I know nothing about that. I know nothing about that. So again, my take would be it would creep into that, off of the whole, I wasn't anywhere near that place. Those level of having an alibi for the crime. And that would probably fit into, like, let's say the meme cycle of Mangione that would fit if we drew it out. It would intersect there with the Italian American mafia memes where you always have an alibi. I mean, if that, I don't know if that exactly answers the question, but I think we're moving toward it. Is that?
Well, I don't know that there's necessarily a specific answer, but I mean, I found that it was quite interesting that this was a way of expressing solidarity.
Yeah.
But I mean, fake solidarity, because as I said, these are obviously ridiculous alibis, right?
Right. Yeah. Like, you know, I would have loved to see one if he was at the Olive Garden.
Yeah. In fact, as Amy is saying in the comments, a huge number of ordinary law-abiding Americans got to publicly support an alleged murderer, right?
Yeah.
So it's really, that's kind of the point that I was getting at. You know, you're if you're saying, oh, he was making sauce with me or we were fishing, you're basically supporting the quote unquote murderer.
Yeah. I mean, you're having a certain amount of purchase in what happened. Again, the murder stuff was really, I think that, and I didn't talk so much about it, but we all saw that the amount of support for him was pretty dark and pretty drastic. So much so that a lot of people, you know, I mean, again, you have to, even I hedged, you know, again, if someone lost their life, there should be never resort to violence and stuff like this. But unfortunately, you know, we don't live in that world. That world the world changes, you know, and these questions of violence are more and more being issues because we are having a huge war 12 hours away from here. There's a desolation of Gaza, you know, and so this stuff is getting into that psyche. And so
when people die because they're denied medical benefits, is that not violence?
Yeah. Well, yes. I mean, yeah, but we don't. But I mean, you know, exactly. But yeah, I think it was a movie that Denzel Washington. I think it was called John Q, where he held up an emergency room because I think his kid couldn't get service. The problem is, and as I said, and I really firmly believe this, you know, we're the last repository now is memes. You know, revolution is illegal in the United States. Okay,
I think it's illegal pretty much anywhere.
Of course, but it's the spirit of doing stuff.
Except in France, I take that back.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Well, with, Anthony, with the exception of storming the U.S. Capitol on the 6th of January, that yes, you can do.
But that's the right, and the right is always allowed to use violence.
That's fine.
The left has hung their shingle on the fact of not using violence for the past 60 years. And when they do that, the state comes down because the whole apparatus is captured. We don't need to get into that right now. I want to keep.
I wanted to just flag that I don't think it was necessarily fake solidarity that was going on. I think that a lot of people found themselves somewhat puzzlingly, but nonetheless, on not necessarily on a predictable side of this, and siding with the act of violence, not against the man who was killed, but against the edifice of the health insurance industry. And simply, again, the power of the meme, you didn't even have to be able to generate one. All you had to do was share.
Yeah, since this is being recorded, just a point of process. I don't recall that I said it was fake solidarity. Okay, I just wanted to be clear about that. I'm asking if there is solidarity, because as I pointed out,
Salvatore used that at all.
Well, I mean, digital solidarity is, you know, I mean, this came up in Tartu as well when someone asked about, what did they say? Activism online activism. I was posed the same thing and how it works with memeiosis by the fellow from Turgenberg. I don't remember. I think that everyone works with the tools we have, right? And you know, like we're doing this conference, right? Because, you know, not everybody can get everywhere at the same time. And we're increasingly working with those tools that are digital. And so whatever ways we can find solidarity, you know, it's in the eye of the beholder. Have you been to Gaza? Your side comments are unappreciated. Maybe you should take a look at the dissolution of southern Israel, where several settlements were decimated. Gaza is fake solidarity. I think that's a bit uncalled for. I don't think I'm characterizing anything. I'm playing stuff down the center here, and I'm not taking a side. So I don't know what that actually means.
Anthony, I think that was a private message because I don't see it.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, still.
Oh.
Okay. Shall we stop? Yes.
Yeah, we can stop.
Unless there's any other